how do you create the perfect workout routine? And is there a perfect workout routine? Well, I'm answering that question and more today, so strap in, get ready for episode 194. Let's go.
The future of fitness.
How do you gain muscle mass?
Fitness is not complicated. It's simple when you break it down.
There's so much information out there.
No fads, no diets, just plain simple habits.
You're listening to the Bones to Bulk podcast.
Hey, welcome to today's episode. My name is Brian Parody, and I will be your host today. And if this is your first time tuning in, welcome to the show. So glad to have you here. And I know you have a lot of choices in the podcasting realm, so it means a lot that you've tuned into this one. Hope you enjoy it. And for my return listeners, thank you for coming back. I know another episode of me blabbing and going a little bit crazy maybe. I know I go off on tangents, but I appreciate you coming back. Appreciate you tuning back in. Hopefully you get some value out of this as I try to simplify fitness because it's way overcomplicated. If you have not signed up for my text community, please text the word podcast to 706-222-7551. You'll get a couple confirmation texts and a standard welcome message from me. And from there, you can write me messages, ask me questions, send me suggestions you have for future episodes, or questions that you maybe would like answered on the podcast, and I will answer them and give you a shout out. So a lot of cool things you can do. And I also send out a couple texts a week, just kind of give you some fitness advice and tips to help you on your journey. So definitely take advantage of that. Again, text the word podcast to 706-222-7551. All right, let's dive in. So the perfect workout regimen, what is it? How should you do it? What split should you do? How often should you work out? How long should you work out? How many reps should you do? You get it. Like, it can be overwhelming. And first off, I want to say that there is no perfect workout routine. Shocker, right? But there isn't. Now, are some things more beneficial than other things? Of course. But the true definition to me of a perfect workout is one that you can stay consistent with and that you enjoy. Because if you hate your workout, you're not going to do it. If I absolutely detested weightlifting, I probably wouldn't stick with it. If you love running and you're trying to switch over to swimming and you hate swimming and love running, you're probably not going to stick with the swimming. You're probably going to go back to your running. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying that you have to enjoy every workout because goodness gracious, like I know that I can't stand some of my workouts. I'm like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be here. I want to go home and take a nap and eat, whatever. And I get that. So I'm not saying like you're always going to love your workout, but you should for the most part enjoy the type of workout you do. Now, with that being said, I want to kind of lay out how I structure my workout routines and why I do it that way and why I think it's the most beneficial, regardless of whether you're trying to lose weight or gain weight. So for me, I do a push-pull leg split with a little bit of variation to it. I do chest and triceps, I do back and biceps, and then I do legs and shoulders. Shoulders is typically paired with chest and triceps, but that would make for a really long day for me if I did chest, triceps, and shoulders. So that's why I combine shoulders and legs on the same day. Then what I do is I repeat those 3 days and I do it over again. And sometimes I'll change up the exercises a little bit. For example, on Monday, I might do 5 chest exercises and 3 tricep exercises. Then when I do chest and tricep day again later in the week, I'll flip-flop it. So I'll do 5 tricep exercises and 3 chest exercises. So I'm still hitting both muscle groups, but I'm maybe putting a little bit more emphasis on one than the other. And I kind of do the same thing with the back and biceps day and the leg and shoulders day. Although I will say legs and shoulders, I usually do an even split of both. So usually I'll do like 4 leg, 4 shoulder, or 5 leg, 5 shoulder. But my exercises that I do, I might change a couple of them. The core ones are pretty much going to stay the same from the first part of the week to the second part of the week, but I might just change up 1 or 2 exercises for each muscle group. Now, the length of my workouts is usually between 45 minutes to an hour. Kind of depends on how good I'm feeling. If I'm feeling really good, I'll try to get through it in 45 minutes. If I'm lagging a little bit, it's closer to an hour. Now, if you are also trying to lose a little bit of fat while you're, on this journey, then I do recommend adding in another 15 to 20 minutes of cardio at the end of your workout. And it's just beneficial. Like cardio is always a great thing. And even if you maybe don't have time to do your cardio then, maybe later in the evening, go for a walk for 15 minutes. It doesn't have to be an all-out run on the treadmill. Just get some kind of movement in for your body because it is great for it. Now, as far as sets and reps, I know there are a million different variations of this. There's drop sets and 5x5s and 3 sets of 10 and 21s. And there's just so many out there. So which is the best to do? I think the most beneficial for both strength training and muscle gain is a mid rep range. So around 12 to 15 reps and going as heavy as you can while still hitting that amount of reps on each set. So for example, if you pick up, let's say you're bicep curling and you pick up 100 pounds and you hit 12 on the first set, 10 on the second set, and only 6 on the third set, you need to drop the weight. So that's kind of how to tell where you're at with how much you should be lifting. Because if I can't hit 12 reps on the last set, then I need to decrease the weight a little bit. Now, I will say it is helpful to change things up from time to time. For instance, you don't necessarily just forever want to do 3 sets of 12 to 15 reps. It's good to change things up. In fact, periodically, what I like to do is go through a macro-micro cycle. And what that is, I'll break my workouts up into 4-week segments. And in week 1, I'll do the 3 sets of 12 to 15 reps. In week 2, I'll do 3 sets at 9 to 11 reps. Week 3, I'll do 6 to 8 reps, 3 sets. And then week 1, I'll do 3 to 5 reps, still 3 sets. So what I'm doing is each week in that 4-week period, I'm dropping my reps each week. Now, what I'm also doing is I'm increasing the weight I'm lifting. Now, the way I figure out how much to increase, again, comes down to, am I still able to hit the minimum amount of reps for each set? So for example, on week 3, when I'm doing 6 to 8 reps, can I still hit at least 6 reps on all 3 sets? That's how I know if I'm lifting too heavy or too light. If I get 8 reps on all 3 sets, I know I probably need to increase the weight a little bit. If I'm only hitting, on set 2, I hit 5 and set 3, I only hit 4, then I need to decrease the weight a little bit. So that's what my gauge is for how much I'm lifting. But usually what I'll do is I'll throw 2 full months of that cycle. So I'll do 4 weeks, and then I'll start the cycle over. So week 5, you're going back to the 12 to 15 reps. And that's a great way to throw your muscles for a loop because it's good to confuse our muscles because they get used to routine. They have that muscle memory. So it's good to just kind of keep things fresh for them. And I've found that when I do this, I usually am able to increase my overall lift slightly by the end of that 2 months. So, for example, my normal bench press will be higher because of that. So it's a great thing to do. It's a great way to just change things up a bit and keep things different for your muscles. So it's always good to do that. And it doesn't necessarily have to be that. If you want to maybe do a couple weeks of drop sets or a couple weeks of 5x5s, something to change up the routine to keep things fresh. You know that it's time to change something up too when you get really comfortable in your routine. In other words, if you go in the gym, you go through the motions, you leave the gym, and you kind of notice hey, I didn't really get too out of breath. I didn't really break a sweat. It's probably time to change things up because your body is very used to that routine. It's doing well at it. And so you need to change things up to make things harder, to build some better resistance and just throw your body for a loop so that you are out of breath when you leave the gym because that's a good sign that you got a good workout in. All right, I hope that helps. I hope it gives you some good ideas for how to change things up, how to set up your routine, how to structure it because you do need a solid structure for your workouts. With that being said, if you are on any social media platform, please check me out. Shoot me a message. I would love to connect with you. I am everywhere at Bones to Bulk. YouTube is youtube.com/Bones to Bulk. And then, of course, you can email me at Brian@Bones to Bulk. And all those are linked in the show notes so you can find me. With that being said, remember, no matter what you're facing, what obstacles you're coming up against, you can reach any goal that you set your mind to. You've got this.